So yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
All right.
Okay, folks, we have currently we have 28 people on. That includes us 3 panelists. And Deming is going to do a presentation, and Christine is here to help. I have been asked to host from the SCORE side. We're happy to help small businesses grow in our local communities. So that's what we're doing here. We're partnering with the Union County, Southwest Region Small Business Center to help small businesses work. So with that, I'll leave it up to whom? Christine or Deming?
I will go ahead and say a few things. I'll introduce our Google trainer, Deming Bass, who has helped more than 40,000 businesses and hundreds of chambers become better marketers while raising millions for economic development, organization, and communities across the United States. He is the founder of New Marketing Makeover, where he helps organizations nationwide clarify their message so their marketing works better and their brand engages. His career spans over 20 years of management in the Southeast U.S. Regional Development Director for Constant Contact. And he comes to us today. We will have hopefully some more Google workshops through SCORE and the libraries coming in the months. But this particular one right now was brought to you from Libraries Lead with Digital, which was a grant that we received from ALA and PLA, which is the American Library Association and the Public Library Association. And we were just thrilled to be able to meet in partnership with Deming and SCORE of Charlotte. And tonight we have some great information, and we hope that you will stay tuned, sign up for the SCORE newsletter, and partner with, or go ahead and look at our social media and find Union County Library, and you will see some upcoming events. And this will be sent to you, the recording will. And if you have any questions, as you probably already heard, we'll answer those at the end. And welcome. Thank you for being here, Deming.
All right, thank you, Christy. And I love, for those of you guys who have been on some of the other webinars, the one thing that I'll say is make sure that you take advantage of the library. I love these partners. I get to do this all over the country for Google. And honestly, SCORE, Charlotte, and Union County Libraries and the Small Business Center Network there in the Charlotte area have amazing resources. So make sure you Google, when the webinar is over, Google them and go check out some of those great free resources that they have for everybody. So we are excited to share with you a really good webinar, really strong webinar here tonight on Google Analytics and how can you use Google Analytics to make really smart business decisions. And what I love about this webinar and what I love about those of you that are on here with us tonight is you guys are the smartest people in the room. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people love our Google webinars that are the fun, creative, sexy marketing type. But then when it comes to actually analytics, measuring data, a lot of people get intimidated by that, or just doesn't sound as much fun or kind of boring, and they don't do this part. But this part and what you're going to learn tonight really does make all the difference, because you're going to walk away from this webinar tonight and you're going to know exactly how to measure your marketing that's happening online. And you're going to be able to answer the question, is my marketing actually working? Am I making money from my website, or is my website costing me money? And as you're going to see, I'm going to show you how to avoid a lot of traps that we do often as business owners and nonprofits when we tend to follow our gut instinct, which isn't always the best thing to do. A couple of little logistics issues that we were talking about a little bit earlier. If you have a question as we move through the presentation, type it into the Q&A little box or section there where you see the 2 little quotes, and I'm going to get to everybody's questions at the end of the presentation. I found that it's best to jump right in, but I think you'll find I'll answer a lot of the questions along the way, and I've got a special link for you guys as well for real technical issues. And the other thing is, stick around, because here at the end, I've got a special link for you guys as a thank you for joining us. That will give you access to up to $150 in free Google matching ad credit. And I've got some really cool free resources for you that's going to take your skills when it comes to analytics to the next level, even long after this webinar is over. So let's jump right in. And I love to kick it off with this quote. Data makes your briefcase heavy, but insights make you rich. The reason I love this quote is that for many of you guys, even as you were thinking about, signing up, or you heard about this webinar, you wanted to sign up, you're thinking about data. But data is really not what we're after. We're after insights. And we live in this world, and we have so much great technology today that we can collect enormous amounts of data that was unheard of even 5 or 10 years ago. And if you think about Google, we're in the business of just collecting data and analyzing it. And our whole Grow with Google program is trying to help you understand how you, no matter how small you are or how new you are to this, how can you collect data and then understand it, but really drill down and find insights, because insights are what help you make really smart marketing and business decisions. So when we're talking about an insight, it's drilling down, and it's got to be these 3 things. It's got to be new or novel. It's got to be something you didn't anticipate before. A lot of times it is, when you're looking at the data, it's what I say, it's like an aha or a wow moment, where suddenly it pops off the page and it is so obvious, but it's also unexpected. It's something that you really didn't see coming. The next thing it needs to be is it's got to be credible. So it needs to be based in fact with real numbers, real data. It can't be opinions. But most important, I want you guys to write this down. Make sure you're taking notes, even though it's a webinar, because that's how you remember. An insight has got to be actionable. It's got to be something that you learn that you can act on. And when you act on it, it is going to make you money, or it's going to get you customers, or it's going to get you sponsors or donors for your nonprofit. So let me explain a couple of kind of definitions up front, and then we're going to dig in and start getting into the how-to. So when we talk about data, data is like the 50,000 foot view. That's just sort of the facts or the statistics or the numbers that you're going to reference. So for example, you may learn that last month, 5,000 people came to your website. That is data. That's just a fact, but you can't really act on that, right? I mean, it's interesting, but you can't really do anything with it. So you need to start studying the data, start drilling down. And as you drill down into the data, that's where you get into analytics. And that's where you start noticing certain patterns or trends in the data that becomes helpful. So for example, you learned that 5,000 people came to your website last month. And of those 5,000 people, guess what? 75% of them that came to your website, they came to your website on a mobile device, like a smartphone or a tablet. Now that's interesting. That's more helpful. But again, can you act on it? Not quite. But you dig a little bit deeper and you look in those analytics, and this is where you find insights. This is our gold mine. This is what we want. And that's a bit of information that pops off the page, the aha, the wow moment, and you can act on it. So let's say 5,000 people came to your website. Of those 5,000 people, 75% are coming from a mobile device. But then you learn of those people that come to your website, people that are coming to your website on a smartphone are 90% more likely to actually follow through and buy from you, like purchase your product or take advantage of your service. Now that's the aha moment. And now you can act on that, right? So now you need to make darn sure that your website is amazing on smartphones, right? If somebody's coming to your website on a smartphone, it needs to load in 1 second, right? It needs to be super fast. And it needs to be so easy and intuitive that they can whip out their credit card and they are going to buy from you in less than 1 minute, right? You want to make sure it's mobile friendly, mobile responsive. That's an example of data, high level, drilling down to analytics and getting to those insights. So today, this webinar is all about helping you find those insights for your business. So what we're going to cover today is give you a little bit of intro into what is Google Analytics if you're not familiar, why it's so important to use it for your business. Then we're going to talk about setting goals for your website and also thinking through questions that you need to be asking yourself as it relates to your customers and your customers' journey with you, how they find you, what they do with you. And then I'm going to demystify for you Google Analytics. For a lot of people, it can be intimidating and overwhelming. But at the end of the day, for most of us as small businesses and nonprofits, there's really only about 5 reports that you want to focus on that's going to help you measure your marketing and help you find the insights that's going to make you a lot of money. And then finally, I'm going to show you how you can use Google Analytics with some other Google tools and why that's important. And then again, stick around down here because we're going to be sharing with you those Google Analytic free resources take your marketing to the next level, as well as that $150 in Google matching ad credit. So a quick sort of technical note is when we talk about Google Analytics, there's sort of 2 different versions. Before October 14th, it was what's called Universal Analytics. This is a little behind the scenes for you. And then after October 14th, so if you created a Google Analytics account after that, or you did it today before the webinar, that's what's called Google Analytics 4 or G4. All that means is some of you will see it's going to look a little bit different if you were on Universal Analytics, and your dashboard will look a little bit different if you're under the new G4. The screenshots that I'm going to be walking you through today are based on the older Universal Analytics, because that's honestly what most people still have. But at the end, I've got some links and resources. If any of you guys have the older and you want to get the G4 or sort of upgrade to that, it'll walk you through and show you exactly how to do that. But that's just sort of a little technical jargon here as we get started. So let's talk about Google Analytics and what is Google Analytics. So it's free online software that you can use to understand, really dig in and know who your customer is, who are the visitors that are coming to either your website or your mobile app. At Google and in Google Analytics, we call these properties, right? But it's basically either your website or a mobile app or both. Now, for most of you, you're probably just all about the website. But the cool thing about Google Analytics is that you can access it anywhere in the world as long as you have internet access. A buddy of mine who is has his own marketing company was telling me the other day he was in Africa on a trip and he was able to whip out his smartphone, even though it wasn't the best connection. He's literally on the side of a mountain. There's some goats staring at him, and he's literally on his mobile phone, and he's going into Google Analytics and checking things out for his clients. So you're able to use this anywhere in the world as long as there's internet access. But most importantly, this is all about measuring. And I want you to write this down. If you are not measuring, you are not marketing. And again, I get back to what I said at the beginning. That's why this webinar is so important, because we're going to show you how to do that. And you're going to see, and hopefully, and I'd love to hear your stories long after this webinar is over, if you go out and you find out all the ways that you were wasting money, for example, and how you were able to change that. So the benefits to Google Analytics, there's tons of benefits, but here are 4 that I think you can really wrap your head around. Number 1 is when you set up Google Analytics, you're going to be able to learn what are the search terms, right? When people are searching for your product or service, what are those terms that are driving the most traffic to your website? Wouldn't that be good to know, right? Next, do you even know for sure what your ideal customer profile or your persona is? Well, Google Analytics over time is going to help you find that out. So you're going to learn demographic information about who your most profitable customers are. You're going to learn about, the age, interests, geographic areas. Are they coming on smartphones? Are they coming in on desktops? Things like that. Tons of different demographic information about the visitors. Then you're also going to learn, okay, what's the content on your website that is engaging people? What's the content they love? And what are those pages nobody's going to? Or they're going and they're bouncing. They go there, they immediately leave. That is terrible pages. You can get rid of them. You don't need to even have them. So you're going to learn that and then do more of what's working for you and get rid of what's not. And then you can evaluate what are the channels that are driving the most conversion. So when we talk about channels, we're not talking about TV channels. We're talking about, for example, when you send out an email campaign, Are those links back to your website, are they leading to people buying your product or leading to people signing up, or scheduling an appointment? When you make that social media post, you can go in and see, okay, I'm doing all this stuff on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. You'll be able to find what are those social media channels that are working for me. And that you're going to love that, because what you'll find is you are probably wasting a ton amount of time and maybe money on certain social media channels that really aren't doing anything for you. So think about all the ways, hopefully you're starting to have little aha moments, all the different ways that Google Analytics is going to be able to help you with all of that. So how do you get started? Well, you go to here, g.co-analytics. And this is if you've never created or you don't have analytics at all, you click down here where it says start for free button. You just click on that and you follow the prompts. It's very easy, very simple to set up. You can set it up in just a few minutes. For those of you guys that are already in analytics or have it, obviously you just go up here in the top right and you sign into analytics. And basically you're going to be it'll walk you through the steps to set up your property. And again, that's either going to be a website or it's going to be an app, or it can be both. And then essentially it'll walk you through the steps it'll give you code that you can copy. And then you can go into whatever you're using, WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, any of those, and you can basically paste that code and it'll assign that code to each page of your website. And once that's in there, now it can track. That's where it starts tracking the visitors, who's coming, what they're doing there. And that's how all the magic happens, okay? So that's how you set up your Google Analytics account. This is an example right here. Once you have it set up, this is sort of your dashboard, and this is what it looks like. And for a lot of people with Google Analytics, maybe the first time you go in, it can feel really overwhelming, and it can feel very intimidating. The one thing I'll say, and just trust me on this, and for those of you that have been involved in analytics, you know this is true too. One of the best bits of advice I can give you is when you create your analytics account, just go in and play around with it. Just go in and you'll find it will become fairly intuitive. All of your reports, and these are going to be the reports I'm going to walk you through here in just a couple of minutes, are going to be over here on the left-hand side. And again, of the millions of things you can do with Google Analytics, you really want to focus in on just these 5 types of reports. I'm going to show you how to use them. But again, it's a really great way. These cards are a really great way to check out the health of your accounts. And you can also customize your dashboard if you want. Now, for those of you that are joining us, if you have questions, type them into the Q&A, and I'm going to get to them at the end. But I would love for you guys real quick to either write this down or screenshot this screen, because this is our special support page that is focused on analytics, okay? And what's great about this, if you think about us at Google, we're pretty good at being a search engine. So we're great at this too. You can literally go in and type in if you have any technical or real complex questions, and there's a lot when it comes to analytics, and they will take you through the step-by-step process of how exactly to fix that. But for general questions, feel free to type those in. I'm going to get to those here at the end. All right, so the first thing we want to do is begin to think about goals and think about what are the questions we want to think about and the answers we need to reach those goals. So I want you all to meet Eva and Ricky, and we're going to follow them along. If you're like me, especially when you get into stuff like Google Analytics and data, I need examples. I want to see like kind of a real life example, or in this case, I want to see how somebody else would do it. So this will hopefully spark ideas and make it fun for you guys. So Eva and Ricky have an apparel company, right? They sell t-shirts, and they decide that they've been selling it on their brick and mortar place. Now they're going to start selling their information online and on their online store. And so they want to start figuring out, they want to know, hey, is our marketing working or is it not? Right? So we're going to follow them. They're going to go through and they're going to create this Google account. And they know that they are like super successful with their brick and mortar, but now how successful can they be online? And what I'm going to show you next, as we sort of move through from here on in the presentation, I'm going to show you screenshots that we're going to, of Google Analytics that we're going to say is Eva and Ricky. But guess what? It's actually going to be Google's actual merchandise store. But what's really cool, and I got the link at the very end, you can go into the link, you can go into Google Analytics or Google, the merchandise store, Google Analytics for our Google merchandise store. It's like a demo account, and you can play around and create your own reports and really start using it and figuring it out with all this great data. Okay. As if you're just setting up your Google Analytics, so you don't have a lot of data yet, you can do that to play around with it. So I'm going to give you that link. But let's think about Eva and Ricky, and also think about you, right? How many of us, if we're honest, how many times do you use gut instincts when it comes to your business? I mean, how many times do you use gut instinct? You follow your gut with like personal decisions, right? And what's interesting, if any of you guys have ever read Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, oftentimes your gut instinct, right there at the beginning, is like right 85% of the time. Okay. But you don't want to make business decisions based on gut instinct alone, because with its business, it can end up costing you a lot of money. And it can end up costing, you can waste a lot of money and a lot of time. So an example here is they came up, or they were talking with friends, they came up with this great new t-shirt design. They loved it. Everybody loved it. Everybody they talked to, they showed it to, loved it. They went out, got a bunch of inventory, made a bunch of shirts, added it to their website banner. And guess what? Nobody's buying their shirts. So what happens when nobody's buying your product? You got a lot of inventory, you got to cut your prices, right? So they cut their prices. And the whole time they're thinking, I can't understand why people don't like this. Everybody we talk to, and a lot of our friends, because obviously our target audience, to them is women ages 35 to 44. When they sort of look around in their store and all of that, that's our audience. And they just could not understand why nobody was buying their t-shirts. But if they use data, and the way I'm going to walk you through this, if they use Google Analytics, you're going to see where they made their mistake. So to start using data in Google Analytics, these are the three things you need to do. Number one, you need to outline and know what is your number one goal that you want to achieve on your website or in a campaign. Number two, you need to ask the right questions to get the right answers to know and to achieve that goal. And number three, you've got to set up the right reports in Google Analytics to find the answers to those questions. So I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps. The first thing that I want you to do, and we covered this a little bit if you were on my website webinar in the past, you need to set one primary goal for your website. And it needs to be a SMART goal, which is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. What this means is in your goal, and you need to write it down too. By the way, this is true for any goals. If any of you guys are trying to lose weight this summer, you got to have a SMART goal. You got to write it down. It can't be in your head. So specific means you need to have a number attached to that goal. Okay. When it's specific, you know the number, which makes it measurable, which means you know if you're successful or not. But then, and these are some of the things most people don't think about, it's got to be attainable. It's got to be realistic. So what do I mean by that? If you just created a website this month for the first time, don't set a goal that you want 100,000 people coming to your website next month, because it's not going to happen, right? It's got to be realistic. So think about your past experience, look at the past experience, the data in the past, and then think about what is a little bit of a stretch goal that I can push beyond that. But then it also needs to be relevant. And this trips up a lot of us as small business owners. When I say relevant, what I mean is your goal for your website has got to be all about your business growth. It's got to be all about you getting customers, you making generating revenue, making a profit. If you're a nonprofit, getting donors, getting that money so you can do all the great work that you're doing. So make sure it's tied to your business growth. And then finally, it needs to be time sensitive, which means you need to have a deadline attached to it. Okay. The reason that's important, two reasons. Number one, if you have a timeline attached to it, that's going to help. Coming back up here, that's going to help it. You're going to know how to measure it better. Okay. But even more importantly, when you think about the human condition and you think about you and I think about me, and if we're being honest with each other, we never do anything until the deadline comes, do we? We think we will, we want to, we have the best intentions, but going all the way back, high school, college, you never did anything till the end. You probably have a deadline right now of like next month, and you're like, well, I'm going to work on a little stuff here and there. I'm going to get it done. And it gets put off until that date comes, right? And then it forces you into action. So I want you right now to write down, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and you can get back and work on it later. Write down what is the one goal you want your website to accomplish, and make sure it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time sensitive. A great example, a very simple example of this is, Ricky May, they want to sell 200 t-shirts online in the month of July. Bam, very simple. 200, it's specific, it's measurable. It could be attainable depending on what they've done in the past. Online, they've got it, it's relevant to their business growth, right? They'll be making money from the t-shirts, and it's time sensitive. They've got that month that they want to accomplish that. So here's another example of a goal that they might think about. They may want to decrease shopping cart abandonment rate to under 60%. And some of you may be like, what in the world does that mean? Well, basically, especially this is for any of you guys where you're selling products online. This is where, have you ever gone, you're buying something online, you add a bunch of items into the cart, you're ready to go. You may have even started putting in your credit card information, address, all that stuff. And then all you have to do is hit buy or pay, review and pay. And then guess what? The kids come running in. Or something happens, or maybe they're asking for too much information, you're not comfortable giving it, so you just say, I'll come back to this later. That is shopping cart abandonment rate. So they are struggling. They've got people are going all the way through, they're getting to that shopping cart page, they're there, they've added in 3 or 4 t-shirts, and then they are not hitting that final button to buy, and it's over 60%. So they want to start looking at that page, that shopping cart page. What can we do? What's wrong with that? What can we do to get that under 60%? So that's a great example of a goal. But depending on your business or your website, everybody's going to have different goals. So these are some examples of what those goals might be. As you think about writing that down, it could be generating leads. I want to get 20 leads a month from my website. It could be scheduling appointments. I want to get people through my website to schedule 10 free appointments or free consultations, right? It could be sales, it could be phone calls, or driving foot traffic. You may want people to sign up for an email newsletter. You may want people to download an e-guide, right? Think about that goal, and right now, write it down and be thinking about that goal now as I move into the questions that you're going to need to be asking and move into showing you the reports that you want to use on Google Analytics to find out those answers. So step number 2 is asking questions and really thinking through how you want to measure these 4 phases of what we call kind of the customer journey with you, like you as a business, you as a brand. It all starts with reach, which is all about how do people, right? You got a website, great. Now, how are people going to find out about it, right? How are they going to find out about your website? How are they going to learn about you? Then once they do learn about you, hey, you got a website there. All right, great. So they go there, but are they able to engage? What's the engagement? Are they able to find the answers for what they're looking for or not, right? And then what do they do when they get there? And then this is what we really want to focus on, guys. It's great to have people visiting your website. It's great to have 5,000 people visit, but we want them to buy our product or service, right? So are you converting those people into customers? Or maybe your call to action is it's leads and you're going to nurture, right? Nurture them. But are they becoming customers? And then finally, and for a lot of us guys, we forget about this. We are so focused on new business trying to get customers. Do we sustain? Do we keep the customers that we have? Do we get them to come back? Do we get them to say great things about us all over the place on reviews and things like that? So here's some questions for each of these spaces that you want to be thinking about. So when it comes to reach, ask yourself, Okay. When it comes to my product or service, what are people searching for? What would they be searching for? And, what are the search terms, the phrases? What's the problem that I'm solving? What's the want or desire or need that I am going to address if they use me, right? Also, who is your audience? So who is your ideal audience? Who are the types of people that would be looking for your product and service? And then again, where would they find you online, right? Would they find you? Is it websites? Is it through your Google My Business profile? Did they find you on social media? Did they find you through ad campaigns? Do they find you through, email campaigns? These are the types of questions that you want to think about when it comes to reach. The second area you want to focus on now is engagement, right? So now they found you. Okay, now if they found me, they come to my website, then what are they actually doing, right? So when they get there, what pages are they going to? Are they sticking around or are they leaving? How do they engage? If there's a video on there, do they watch the video? How do they interact? Do we have coupons? Should we have coupons, downloadable coupons, right? Are they engaging with us there? And then we get to the most important part, which is conversion. So you want to know, okay, great, they're here, they're engaging, they're watching the videos, they're downloading stuff. But at the end of the day, are they following all the way through and are they buying my product? Are they becoming a customer? So you want to know, like, some great questions to ask. What are the channels that drive the most conversions? What are the calls to action that drive the most conversions? Do you have a big, huge call to action button right there at the very top of your page, brightly colored, that pops off the page, tells them exactly what you want them to do? Schedule an appointment, get a quote, buy now, reserve your seat, right? What are those calls to action? And then when they click on that, are they going all the way through, pulling out their credit card and buying? And then what are the channels that have a higher ROI? So what that means is, again, going back, think about it. If you're spending 20 hours a week on Facebook posts and even maybe running some ads, are they becoming customers? And what you may find is you're spending all that time and money and they're not. Maybe they're coming, but they're just not really buying. But guess what? Maybe on a little campaign on LinkedIn or Twitter or something else, somewhere else, you find that people that typically come from another channel, they are the ones most likely to buy. Well, guess what? If you know that, then you want to quit the stuff that's not working and do the stuff that is working best for you. And then we come down to the sustainability question. And this is where you can really make a lot of money with really minor tweaks in your thinking and in your marketing. So many of us are so focused on going after the new customer that we forget, you got customers that already know all about you. They love you. They've done business with you. What can you do to get them to come back more? What can you do to get them saying great things and spreading the word, right? We all know, whether it's online or offline, the number one way to grow your business is by word of mouth referrals, right? So where are they engaging with you? Are they leaving reviews? Are you responding to their reviews, letting them know how much you appreciate? And then here's the thing. Are you giving people a reason to return to your website again and again and again? Are you showing great value, right? So think about that. So these are the questions in those 4 phases. But now, how do you find the answers to those questions? And that's where Google Analytics comes in. And like I said, of the millions of things you can do on Google Analytics, as intimidating as it may seem when you first jump in, at the end of the day, you just want to focus on these 5 reports. And I'm going to walk you through and show you how to use them. The first report is a real-time report. It's exactly how it sounds. You're able to go in and see in real time what is happening right now on my website. Who's coming? What are they doing? Audience, you're able to learn a little bit about the demographics and of the audience. Who are they coming? Where are they coming from? Are they coming from Union County? Are they coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Southeast? What are their interests? What are the languages they speak? Is it a smartphone? Is it a desktop? You can learn all sorts of. This is going to help you fill out your customer persona. And then acquisition, you want to learn where they are coming from. So that answers a lot of those reach questions we were talking about. Behavior is what did they do when they get to your site, particularly what did new people do when they come to your site for the first time, or what do return people do when they come, returning visitors that have been there before. And then, of course, to me, the most important thing is down here, the conversion report, where at the end of the day, are they coming and are they buying from you? Are they signing up for your email newsletter? Are they scheduling an appointment? Whatever that goal is, whatever that call to action is. And this is how you know your website is successful. This is how you know, is your website making you money or is it costing you money? So let's walk through and show you kind of each of these reports, a little bit of kind of what they look like and how you can use them. So again, you remember this is the dashboard. Again, don't be intimidated by all the charts and graphs. Again, the more you're in it, if you just play around with it 5 or 10 minutes every couple of days, you're going to become an expert at this. But when you go in over here on the left, where all these 5 basic reports are going to happen. So you got your real-time report here. This is where you are seeing in real time actions by visitors based on something you did. Or in the case of Eva and Ricky, maybe it's a great media story. Like they ended up getting coverage in the local paper or in the local TV station about opening up a new store or coming out with this crazy t-shirt that just went viral and everybody's going nuts, right? They're able to see the spikes in traffic. So as you look at this, and again, these are all examples from, we're going to pretend they're Eva and Ricky, but it's the Google merchandise store. And again, you're going to be able to access this and go in and play around. So you can see when this screenshot was taken, there were 29 people on the site right there, right? And you can see, and of that, what is that, 57% were from a desktop, 47% were mobile, and you can find out all sorts of information. But this is really good because you will know, hey, if you send an email out at 10:30 a.m. this morning and you were doing real time, you will see at 10:28, maybe you only had 2 people on your site. And then suddenly at 10:32, you've got 30. And then a little bit later, 30, now it's 57 people, now it's 123, now it's 259, right? And you're able to see the impact of what you're doing in real time. The second report, as you move down below real time, is your audience report. And this is what you want to use to start filling out and literally knowing, not gut instinct, not who you think your audience is, but knowing for sure over time, yes, this is our ideal audience. So it's tracking the characteristics of the users, their demographics, interests, geographic location, language, device, all sorts of stuff. Now, here's what's interesting. Let's say if this is Eva and Ricky's, right? You remember they were sure, they were like dead certain that their audience were females 35 to 44. But what they can find through Google Analytics over time is that true? And the answer here, as you look at this report, is no. Guess what? Their ideal audience is not females 35 to 44, but it's males 25 to 34. Now, remember going all the way back to the beginning of the presentation, I talked about insights. Remember the aha, the wow moments, the unexpected but obvious? This is going to be a big aha moment, right? And you remember how I said insights are all about, you need to be able to act on it to make a smart marketing decision or business decision that's going to make you money. Well, let me ask you a question. If you're Eva and Ricky, you thought it was females, everything you've been doing is females 35 to 44. Your t-shirts are females 35 to 44. Let me ask you a question. Do females 35 to 44, do you think their taste in t-shirts are going to be different than males 25 to 34? It's going to be completely different, right? So you want to look at your creative and be like, wow, we may need to target males 25 to 34. Also your product, gosh, those t-shirts we had, we need to start skewing and make it more attractive to those males. That's a perfect example. Hopefully this is all starting to come together for you of finding that insight. Here's another report and another insight they learned. Moving down below real-time audience reports, now you've got acquisition reports. This is where you're going to learn and understand how people find you, how your visitors, how your customers find you. You're going to start seeing patterns, and you're going to find out how they find you, for example, through search or ad campaigns or social media. Okay. So again, looking at this, let's say this is Eva and Ricky. Do you remember, well, let's say going into this, they were running Google Ads, right? Or they were learning ad campaigns for paid search. And they may have just, thought, they were like, well, we're running ad campaigns. And, that's probably where we're getting most of our folks that are coming and purchasing. But take a look at this. So this is showing you your top channels. And again, if this was them, look at this. Organic search makes up almost 60%, and direct search makes up almost 17%. Okay. What that means is, if you're not familiar with those terms, organic search is basically with people that actually come to the website, 60% are typing in to the search query something like, really cool t-shirts or local t-shirts for sale, or something where it's about the product or the service, but it's not about Eva and Ricky. Direct is going to be people, let's say the company's name is Eva and Ricky's T-shirt shop. Those are people typing in Eva and Ricky T-shirt shop. But guess what? As you look at this, you see that little itty bitty slice of orange? That's your paid search. So here's the insight. This is the aha moment. We've been paying all this money for an ad campaign, and we're only getting that little sliver, but a lot of people are finding us from just searching for products and services. So what that means is they can act on that, right? Maybe they don't need to be doing as much with the paid search campaign, or they need to look at their creative and make sure it's really connecting. And then they need to focus a lot on search. What are the words that they're using? And I'm going to show you how to find that here at the end. What are the words they're using that are driving us there? And how can we take advantage of those words in our marketing strategy and in our ad campaigns? Next, as you move down under acquisition, you've got the behavior report. So behavior is going to tell you what people actually do when they get to your website. And I did want to show this one sub-report underneath behavior called the behavior flow chart. This looks, you're like, what in the world is this? I'm going to explain it, then it'll make perfect sense to you. What the behavior flow chart, and the reason you want to look at this is going to show you visually the path that users travel from one page to the next when they come to your website. And the benefit to this is you're going to understand how any changes to your website are going to affect the conversion funnel. And what that means is any changes you make, and you want to be playing around with this all the time, what are changes you can make to the website so they come to your homepage and they know exactly what you want them to accomplish with your goal, and they click on that call to action button and it takes them to a page, and right there they can purchase that product or service really fast, or if that's what your goal is, right? So this behavior flow, let me show you how this works. So over here you can see these are basically the starting page that people are coming to, and then you can see this flow. See how this little area, so you have a lot of people coming to the homepage. That's the green, the big old green visually shows you, how many people are coming. Okay, so a lot of people are coming, and then see this little red, I call it a red waterfall. These are then people that are leaving that page. So a lot of people coming, but that's a kind of thick waterfall, and they're leaving. Okay. Then you can see up here, then they go, let's say the homepage. And so Ricky and Eva's homepage. And then see this little area here. You can see this thick line, this thick gray line that goes to the second page. That's where then of the people that are here, most of them are going to the second page, which let's say is the red t-shirt page. Okay. And then a smaller amount are going to this page, which could be the blue t-shirt page. And then an even smaller amount are going down here to the yellow t-shirt page, for example. But then you can see they come to the red t-shirt page, and then see this is still pretty thick right here. This is going to that second page. And let's say that is your shopping cart page, right? That's where you're selling. That's where they're putting in their credit card or they're signing up for the appointment. this sort of shows you that flow, right? Now, this is what I want you to pay attention to. If you set this up, when you set this up and you look at this, you're always going to have a big red waterfall off your homepage. Don't worry about that too much because people just come and they leave. That's not necessarily bad. What could be bad is, see, let's using this example, they get a red t-shirt page and then they get here to the shopping cart page. See this red waterfall over here? That's kind of big, okay? And those are people leaving without purchasing, right? And so if I was working with you or working with a client or something, I would want to know, I would really want to dig in on that page and see what is causing those people to not check out? What is causing that to leave? How can we simplify? How can we make it easy? Let's figure out a way to do that. So that's what you're going to want to look at here. Okay. The next report, though, and again, this is getting into the gold, what we really want to focus on is the conversion report. And this is where you're able to see how all of your channels, all the different ways people are coming to you, how they work together, and then are they actually purchasing, are they buying from you? And this is where you can start understanding, you know, what is the trip up? What are we doing that's slowing it down? What are we doing on our pages that are, you know, making it work? And again, you can see, like in this case, and again, this is Google's merchandise store. You can see the revenue, the conversion rate, the number of transactions, average order value. But basically, to give you an example, let's say Eva and Ricky decided there's this really cool tool that they have where when if you want to buy a t-shirt and you want to give it to somebody as a gift, you have the option when you get to that shopping cart page, putting your information in, you can actually sign up and shoot a video talking to the person you're giving the gift, saying, hey, you know, Barbara, I love you, you're great, and I hope you love this shirt, and I can't wait to see you soon, right? Pretty cool stuff, right? And so it personalizes it when they get the gift. But let's say they put that on there and then suddenly their conversion rate started dropping right after that. Well, then they're like, okay, what was it that we did that made that worse? It's the video. So as cool as the video is, we do not want that interfering. That's one more step, one more thing people have to do. We want their money. We want them to follow through with that. That's an example. Or if they want to keep it, what can we do to simplify it? Another report also under the behavior report, going back to the behavior report, is looking at new and returning customers. So you can see how many customers are coming back after the first visit. And again, you get to see, like, you know, what is the type of behavior that's happening. Using Eva and Ricky as an example, let's say this is them. You can see that they have 11,241 are new visitors coming to their website for the first time. Only 2,764 are coming as returning visitors. So they may ask ourselves, well, gosh, how can we get new visitors or past visitors? How can we get more returning visitors, right? How can we get them coming back to buy again and again and again? And an example of that would be maybe, again, and this is that aha moment, that insight is, man, it's all new visitors. Is there some sort of, can we give them a discount, a coupon that, hey, you know, if they, after the first order, they come back and they get 30% off their second, right? And just imagine for a second, look at this 11,000. What if you just got another 2,700 out of that, right? That's now your numbers are up to 5,000 and they're buying from you again. Again, think about that in terms of what you do and your product and your revenue, but how that's an easy way to make a lot of revenue with fairly easy tweaks, right? All right, so what did we learn as we think about Eva and Ricky? Again, if they had followed their gut instinct, like so many of us do, and if they had just kept doing it the way they had done it, you know, they thought their top audience was 35 to 44-year-old and primarily female. They learned the insight when they looked at the data is that it's actually 25 to 34-year-old, primarily male. So that means creatively, they need to make changes, and product-wise, they need to make changes if they want to make more money, right? They also learned, they thought that their primary driver of traffic was this fancy paid ad campaign that they tried. But they looked and they found, no, it wasn't that. It was organic search. So maybe they want to focus a little bit more on the words that are using in SEO, or they need to go back and look at their campaign and creatively look at that, because why isn't that working better? They also thought that, hey, most of our purchases are coming from repeat customers, not first-time visitors. But what they learned is that no, most purchases are coming from first time. So again, what we just talked about, what can we do? Let's add a coupon, let's add a discount, let's get more return visitors. That's going to generate more revenue and more profit for us. All right, makes sense so far? All right, so as we wrap it up, and then I'm going to get to your questions, the last thing I want you to do is not just stop with setting up your analytics account. I want you to link it up. You can link it up with a whole bunch of other Google products, but the two that you probably want to focus on, and probably the two that for most of you really only need to focus on, is going to be Google Ads and Google Search Console. So what this means is if you have a Google Ads account and you're running an ad campaign, by linking analytics with your Google Ads account, now you're going to be able to track the success of that ad campaign. You're going to know from the moment they clicked that ad all the way through, now they came to your website, did they actually buy? So that's how you're going to know if your ad campaigns are working. Google Search Console is another free account that you can set up that allows you to look at your website the way Google views your website, and you can learn all sorts of things. That's where you start learning about the words, the keywords people are typing in their search query, and then finding you through organic search, for example. That's just one of the many things. So setting that up and linking that is how now you're going to know, okay, what are the keywords that people are using that are most likely to not only get them to my website, but then of those that use the keyword, they came to my website and then they ended up buying. That makes sense? And you see how this is going to, you're going to know everything from keywords now, the right keywords to use, to ad campaigns if you link them. And again, I just sort of talked about that, but the benefit is, again, you're going to be able to track it from the ads. You're going to be able to begin targeting specific users based on previous behavior. And you can understand that organic traffic and the keywords that you want to focus on, or keywords that maybe you don't want to have all over your website because it's not leading to purchases. It's just clicks, but not purchasing. So how do you do this? It's pretty simple. You simply just go into your Google Analytics account, look for the admin tab up here. When you click the admin tab, you're going to go under product linking, and you'll see all products. You'll click on that. This is going to show you all the different products you can link. But again, really all you need to focus on are Google Ads and Google Search Console. So you just simply click on Google Ads and view link, click on the link, and it'll take you through the steps, and you're going to be set up in literally a minute or a couple of minutes. All right, I'm going to wrap it up now. I got your homework assignment. I'm going to answer your questions again. This is a great page for you if you have technical questions. I am also, you guys are going to have a copy of this presentation recording, thanks to SCORE and the library and those guys. So you'll have that as well. But as we wrap up, I promised you a couple of resources, and I want to give you some good basic next steps to get started. So the first thing that you want to do tonight is go through, think about what is that goal that you want for your website to accomplish, and make it a SMART goal. Then go through and really think through those questions that you want to be asking based on the 4 phases of the customer journey, and write those out. And then go set up Google Analytics. Only takes a couple of minutes. Link them if you're running ad campaigns, but go in, and then as you set that up, then just go in and start playing around with it, get used to it, have fun with it, and then as you start collecting that data, you can start acting on it and do the things that are working well, do more of that, and things that aren't working, but really start looking for those insights. And you're going to be able to, again, play around with that, our Google merchandising store. I'll show you that link here in a second. But a couple of other great resources for you guys If you want to really, you're like, Deming, this is great, awesome, it's a great first start. Now, I really want to dig in on analytics. You can go here to our free skill shop. It's g.co/skillshop. And you can take online e-learning courses. They're all free. And you can see we have an analytics academy that you can take and literally become an expert and really dig down deep into analytics. Same thing with Google Ads, YouTube, all across the board. This is really great if you do want to become a little bit more of an expert. This is also great for all you guys out there. If you have kids that are in middle school or high school, get them on here and have them play around with this and really build up their digital skills. So it's going to be a great resource for them. Another resource that I always share that's free is our Google Primer app. This is a free app that is downloaded, and it's fun, interactive, short, 5 minutes or less, bite-sized lessons on marketing and business. So this is great for you when you have a couple of minutes each day. You're going to learn so much, and it's a lot of fun as well. And then these are the resources I promised. So you've got the support page for analytics. This is the link that you can go to, and you can go into real-time, real-life data about our merchandise store and run your own reports, pretend like it's your own business. Get used to that with all this great data as you're waiting for your analytics to start capturing that data and understand that. Anytime you want to find your way around analytics in any way, we actually have a little help center here, this link. And then you remember I mentioned earlier, we had the old version, the Universal Analytics. Now we have the G4. Well, if you want to switch over from your existing UA property into G4, these will tell you exactly how to do that as well. So with that, oops, didn't want to do that. With that, I want to bring this back up and give you the link as a thank you for joining us tonight. I know you have a busy night and you could have been doing all sorts of stuff, but thanks for joining us. This is the link that you're going to be able to download your free Google Matching ad credit. It's for first-time users, of course, but you can set up your free Google account and then they'll drop this in there for you. And if you have any success stories, we're always looking for success stories. Shoot me an email, tell me who you are, what you do, and what that success story was with analytics, or maybe you had a great ad campaign. And if any of you out there are like, well, Deming, this is great, but that sounds like a lot of work. I don't know that I want to do it. I'm always happy to pass along Google partner recommendations. These are partner firms that have been vetted by Google, so they're trustworthy, they know what they're doing. And if you want people to help do all of that, set up Google Analytics, monitor it, and do all that, I'm always happy to pass along those as well. So with that, I'm going to jump in. If you have questions, type them into the Q&A. It looks like, if any of you guys want to read off anything too, we can do that. And I may also jump in here to chat.
Yeah, there was one that Susan had, and I don't know if she said it is off subject, but can you direct me to where to find the answer of the main photos for Google My Business are no longer appropriate for my business? How do I get them changed?
So I think the answer there is, I think through this. So you know, if it's your business, oh, I see what you're saying. And okay. And so you know that you can edit it. You can go in and edit it. So that's the question. I think, you know, that you can go in, it's your profile. So you can go in and make those edits. And so you can go in, you should be able to go in and you can take those down. One thing you can do, this is a little hack, is put up new photos, and then you can go in and like those photos, and you can have friends like those photos, or staff, or just anybody. And the more people that like photos, then those photos pop up to the top. But there is a process. If you go to, I have the link right here, you know, the support.google.com. If you add a /business to that, that'll take you to the support page for Google My Business profiles. and you can type in like photos that need to be removed, and it'll take you through that process. But another way to do that is, again, add a new photo, get some likes in there, because my guess is probably a lot of photos don't even have likes, and that'll get those photos up to the top. Good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Let's see, I'm going through the chat. Yep, you guys are going to be getting the recording. I know we get that question a lot. Awesome. Any other questions? I think that's the only one.
Yeah, I think it is. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Deming and SCORE. And I don't know if anyone has looked at or has seen the Google commercials, the TV commercials for the small business. That is very engaging. It's very touching. Like, it does a really good job of like everything that you've covered during this series of webinars. And have you seen those?
You know, it's funny. I should say yes, but I don't actually watch a whole lot of TV. So, but I see some every now and then. But I'll have to go check that out. It's funny because even with our program Grow with Google, they apparently they have commercials for that. You know, it's funny. I'll hear people talk about it, and then I'm like, oh, really? What? So I need. But basically, what you're saying is I need to watch more TV.
I think you can watch them. But no, I mean, it's spot on. Everything that I've learned by, you know, being with online with your webinars, it's just exactly what it means, because the whole reason why we're doing this is to have, you know, get people the skills they need to grow their businesses. And so it's very, very touching, well documented, real life, actually, of course, businesses who have used everything that you're presenting to us, and it has helped them, especially during the pandemic. So it's really cool.
Well, that's awesome. And, you know, and that's great. And thanks for sharing that, because that gets to my point here. The last point on the slide is that, you know, we do. So all those, and again, I haven't seen the commercials, but this is exactly what happens. If you have a success story, you share that with me. I share it with our marketing team, and they go through and they find real life success stories to then end up adding into commercials or adding into our webinars, because we want to show, and even Ricky isn't, they aren't real. But usually, as you've seen in some of my other webinars, they're usually real business owners. So it's a great way to maybe get some great free publicity. So that's a great point.
There's a few other chats in here. Can you see those? I'm not quite sure.
Let's see. It said, so Claudia is setting up right now. What do you put as the account name? Would it be your business name? Yes. So it'd be your business name. And I think you're saying, what is this? Crystal's saying, what is display as a source? So display as a source, that I believe that's going to be your that's like your desktop computer versus a smartphone. As a source. Yep. So good questions.
Well, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, and sorry, I'm black up here. My something happened. We were talking about that, but I am here with my Grow with Google shirt. But you're just seeing a black screen. So
yeah, that's fine. Normally we can see you. So hopefully we'll be able to see you again soon, and we'll send out, if you are on this webinar, you will receive the recording. And if you sign up for our with SCORE of Charlotte's newsletter or follow the library on social media, if we have another webinar here, you will get that information, and you will be able to see Deming and follow us along with some of the new topics. What were those new topics that you were excited about?
Oh gosh, they have, well, I'm trying to think. I don't think we done a Google Ads. I lose track of it every time. So we have a brand new, some of the basics of Google Ads, which is a new one. We have an updated one on YouTube. We actually have some, this is probably maybe more for the library. We have some job seeker presentations on job search tips. There's actually a really cool Google tool on job search that most people don't know about, where you can actually find jobs from the search page. And then we have one that just came out, and the name escapes me, but it is basically helping you with online selling. So it's not just about sort of websites in general. That's one of the webinars we've done in the past, but it's all about selling online. And, you know, we have something called a merchant center, and it starts getting into a little of the more advanced cool things you can do with Google. So the example I use all the time is, if you've ever wondered, or if you've ever taken a photo on your smartphone, and then if you have the Google Photos app, and then you go in to edit it or change, you know, make the filters and crop it and all that, you'll see down at the bottom, it's called Google Lens, where you can click on that and it will pull up products. So for example, let's say you took a picture of, I'm looking outside my window at a tiki torch. So let's say I took a picture of my tiki torch. You would hit Google Lens and it will pop up all these options of where you can buy tiki torches on various websites. So it's pretty cool. And so think about, so what it does is, when you're registered through our merchant center and all of that, it basically is automatically pulling your products and it's showing up in all those other unique places, which is just another way for people to find your product and service in a really creative way.
Very cool.
So, all right, well guys, thank you. And Tim and Christy, thank you so much for hosting. And yeah, we'll be in touch and talk about hopefully doing some future webinars coming up this summer and fall.
Great. Thanks, Danny.